Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully quarantine is not wearing you out too much and my phone would stop fucking dinging. Jesus tits.
You should continue with that.
Hey, I didn't choose to grow this.
Pressing numpad and nothing's happening.
Why are you playing it?
Fucking broke me legs, mate. Fucking
Questions and accept it. Midichlorians, motherfucker.
told you.
Glorious. No, it wasn't glorious.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully quarantine is not wearing you too much out. We gather to talk about video games, life, and anything that we find interesting in our day-to-day life. Whether you're listening to us on Spotify, Podbeam, or YouTube, welcome back. And to our new listeners, grab a drink, relax, and hopefully you enjoyed this really special, juicy episode. The date is April 16th, recorded on the 28th of April, 2020. We're stating the dates now just in case the world ends between now and release date, just as a notification to keep that up. We are, of course, always joined by Tom, who is so gracious enough this time to allow me, Ray, in order to lead the intro this time. So, take it away, Tom.
I'm just happy for once not doing the intro. That's all.
I know.
For once, I'm not the one doing the bloody cringy intros.
Somebody's gonna start listening out of nowhere at a second or third episode and be like, what the hell is going on? This is new. I don't like this.
Like changed his voice. I wonder why. But yeah, today we're gonna basically dedicate the whole hour, hopefully an hour, not longer, of just analyzing why DICE is abandoning their Battlefield 5 and dropping the last piece of content for Star Wars Battlefront. Literally, as we're recording this podcast, this is gonna be the last update. And we're just gonna finally speak out and telling you the truth, what happened behind the scenes, because I think it's safe to say that the lowest point we've ever been with Battlefield is right now, with Battlefield 5 dropping support, and we are literally we are technically in an end game right now. Whatever the next game DICE is producing, it's basically their last hope of saving the franchise from dying.
But before we continue to discuss the future, we gotta go back to the beginning. We can't really discuss solutions if we don't understand the problems. People love to mention live service as the problem, and that premium would have fixed things as a blanket statement, but we can assure you it's really not like that, and we don't think people really see the full picture here as far from a business standpoint and other standpoints. So we're gonna try to do our best to explain why BFE was pretty much such a big mess from our standpoint, from behind the scenes, and things that we've picked up in amongst the breeze and all those glorious things.
Yeah, so it's basically going to be like a timeline, how Battlefield 5 started in production, why the game is such a mess, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to say now is everything I was told by different developers from EA and DICE that used to work there. Some of them still do, but I'm not going to mention names because obvious reasons. It's okay if you think I'm full of shit. It's because I probably could have been lied to. I could have been told the wrong information, or could be incorrect information or false information, whatever, I don't know. It's not up to me to decide how legitimate this information is. I just know the information I was told.
And based upon that, and the fact that we still consider a lot of these friends of ours, we don't want to sully any names, we don't want to make anybody look like anything, and we're not trying to make us seem like we're not trustworthy, but it's been long enough since we've heard a lot of this stuff that I feel like it's kind of time that maybe somebody should kind of breeze it out a little bit more.
I mean, how long we can keep this information to ourselves and not we literally at the lowest point. What's the point keeping that information to ourselves?
Yeah.
It's not gonna change anything. It's the past now. It's the past. It doesn't matter. So might as well. I'm just gonna make the whole list. So basically, what I'm gonna do right now is gonna be a timeline, a list, how the production went on and what happened with Battlefield 5, and then we'll discuss what went wrong and all that kind of stuff. So let's go back to 2016 when Battlefield 1 got released. I heard about the next Battlefield back in December of 2016, a month later after BF1 got released, and it was DICE LA game that was being produced for 2018, not Battlefield 5. I don't know the title of that game, I just know it was a modern game or futuristic, I don't know. From the artwork I was described, it was some sort of modern futuristic game because it was some sort of apocalyptic. I don't know, was it a spin-off or a sequel to BF4. I just know the DICE LA game got scrapped, and DICE Sweden came over to help them out. Help them out, basically produce a game for 2018. So after the DICE LA game got scrapped, DICE LA took over Battlefield 1 CT, and that's why DICE LA was responsible for everything Battlefield 1 related post-launch. So all the DLCs came out were made by DICE LA, because they weren't working on their own game anymore. And the reason DICE LA game got scrapped, apparently, is because they haven't met their some sort of internal development goals. I don't know what those goals are and how they're measured. I just know that there was a lot of problems with the production of the game, and they couldn't meet 2018 deadline. I don't know how true that is. I just know that the game they were working on was scrapped 2016 December, and DICE Sweden came in to produce Battlefield 5. Also, DICE LA leaked the game by accident once in a DICE LA YouTube video. It was some sort of montage of inviting people, hey, come work with us, apply for DICE LA, work as developer, and blah blah blah. It was like a montage of really cool scenes, of the behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. And at one point, they leaked their own game they were making, and I remember seeing footage of that game. It was like white box, right? I saw modern buildings, I saw palm trees, and I saw Battlefield 1 being played on a somewhat modern looking map. It was still white box, but it was some sort of modern game using Battlefield 1 assets. So I'll explain later why it was Battlefield 1 assets, because kind of people were like, oh, it's probably DLC. It wasn't DLC. It was definitely not DLC. So, and this list is fucking long. And we're just starting with DICE LA game being scrapped. So the leak in the video got quickly removed. The video got quickly removed, re-uploaded and re-edited. So there's no traces of DICE LA game being in that video anymore. I know someone posted on Twitter the picture of it, so I need to find it. Maybe I'll include it in the video if I can find it, and I'll put it in the podcast. So yeah. DICE LA game got scrapped, and that's why DICE Sweden came in to make Battlefield 5. Why they decided to make World War II game, I don't know. Maybe because it was easier to reuse the assets, because they only had almost a year and a half to make the game, you know how making a triple game in a year and a half is.
It's literally like just shotgun blasting stuff together. It's not really possible. So yeah.
It's pretty suicidal.
Yeah.
With one studio, it's pretty suicidal.
Yeah, and even DICE LA in Sweden in tandem, that's still a pretty sizable workforce, but not a massive one. Not that could pull that feat off.
And of course, somebody probably will be thinking, why couldn't DICE Sweden will continue DICE LA work? I don't know, can't confirm why. Apparently DICE LA and DICE Sweden work differently, even though the same company, the same studio, but they work differently, and I know communication at EA or the studios themselves are kind of garbage, so I don't know. I don't know why they couldn't continue DICE LA's work, but whatever. That we got what we got. So yeah, so apparently DICE LA had too many problems, game got scrapped, DICE Sweden came in, and Battlefield 5 is in production. It took about 3-4 months for the pre-production to be done. So 2017, April, May, maybe June, pre-production was done, and they started working the game. And I know they had something playable for that year's EA shareholders meeting. I think it was August or something. So in August 2017, they already had something playable. So basically, fast forward to 2018. The reason why they barely... Oh no, wait, sorry. I skipped ahead because it's a list in front of me. So fast forward to Battlefield 5 reveal that happened in 2018. And I remember being on that reel. Livestream was badly received. Trailer was disliked to oblivion. And yes. Oh, okay, nothing. I thought I got being distracted. So people complain about the women being in World War II game. That the game looks steampunky, like it's steampunk World War II. People dislike that, but we'll talk about that later. Why they dislike that? Because it's a big ass topic, so it doesn't important right now. People disliked it because it didn't look like a World War II game. Fast forward to EA Play, because we know the game was rushed. The reason why they barely showed anything about during the presentation itself, because we know that the game was rushed, is they had almost nothing to show for the EA Play presentation. The actual build that EA Play people or audience supposed to play at EA Play and played, which became the closed alpha later on, the build itself was finished like 12-18 hours before the actual presentation of the game for EA Play. So that tells you how tight the deadlines were for Battlefield 5 in terms of production. Like I said, the production started like basically in 2017, right? So we're talking a year and a half. So it's barely a year past.
I remember
so
that.
we already have this.
They had pretty much nothing physically to show for it.
There was nothing. Remember the live stream? There was nothing to be shown.
Yeah, the exception that what they did was they announced the Battle Royale randomly for BFV. And
completely randomly, with nothing to like
no
show.
Provocation
No title, no
whatsoever.
nothing, no nothing.
But also, this was around about the time when PUBG was starting to gain its infamy, and everybody was jumping into the Battle Royale train, and we all were screaming about that too. They did a closed alpha, which all of us partook in. I remember playing that. I still have footage from that. It wasn't really optimized for a lot of people. I had a couple of problems running it myself, even though frame rate problems and things like that are never really a problem on my rig. I don't have a beast, but I mean it's pretty well off for what it is. But there were some people who could barely even get a stable 60 FPS out of it, and
I couldn't. I literally had to lower everything just to have stable 80, and that's everything on low with resolution scale was like, I don't know, 40 or 60 or something. Yeah, but granted, it's an alpha, it's a closed alpha, so there's no point bitching about, the alpha wasn't optimized. Yeah, it's an alpha, no shit. So we're not gonna bitch about that because it's pointless. There's a reason why it's called alpha. But yeah, alpha was unoptimized for obvious reasons, because the build was finished just recently and it's just unoptimized and everything is not that great, which is, again, rushed development. Then what we got? Public beta got released, same thing as the alpha. Performance was mixed. Some people were fine, some people weren't. Performance was all over the place. Then, of course, after the beta, the game got delayed for a month. And before the game's official launch day, there was a controversy with EA subscription service, Origin Premium. Anyone that subscribed to that service had 2 weeks early access to the game. People that pre-ordered the deluxe edition, they still need to wait a week and a half unless they pay up for the extra for the subscription. So far so good, I guess. Like, imagine you're paying for the deluxe edition, right? You paid like what, $80, right?
Yeah, there were some people who even paid in excess up to like $120 too.
Yeah, and EA is still asking you to pay up $15 more so you can have 2 weeks early access, even though you already pre-ordered the deluxe edition. I mean, bad optics already right there. It's just not good.
And not to mention, I mean, it launches with max of 50 ranks, comparing 140 to BF1 and BF4. No vehicle customization at all. A lot of promised features that were literally nowhere to be seen, which included the teased battle royale and the co-op modes. The wacky steampunk World War II characters, some of them from even in the trailers, they're nowhere to be seen at all, anywhere.
Yep. And then, of course, after the game launch, in December, we had this TTK change that people were against straight away because it just ruined the whole game entirely. Well, I don't say ruined, but it was like a really not a good decision. And because most of the developers were, like the main developers, were on holidays during that December month when the update dropped. So there was no time to react to it or change anything. And apparently those changes to the TTK were made by some rogue developers and everything. And I don't know who these people are. Some people hinted who the people were, but I'm not gonna mention names because I can't confirm.
Of itself still kind of sounds fishy. Just like some rogue developers went in there and changed.
Yeah,
it.
But I just know there were two camps of in the studio that. But the bigger camp was that people were against the TTK change.
I believe I believe it. I mean, inner office politics.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened or how it's possible to happen. I just don't know, but it happened. And other than that, I know there was a lot of developers that left the company. A lot of people. I don't know how much you trust Glassdoor reviews, but you can't say they're full of shit either way, because I just don't think trolls would go on Glassdoor and say shit stuff about the company and pretending they work there. Anyway, a lot of people left the company, a lot of people left EA and DICE, and because one of them, for example, who was responsible for communication between players and developers, he left EA because there was too many red lines and it was almost impossible to make any improvements to the communication because, I don't know, shareholders or some crap, I don't know. I don't know what kind of red lines we're talking about, but I just know that a lot of people weren't happy about that, because if you want to run a live service, you kind of need communication.
The basic overall gist that we've been getting from friends of ours and everything is that a lot of things have changed, and there's been a lot of red tape, and there's been a lot of red lines that have been thrown up as of late, and they're getting tired of it and leaving it. And you can't blame some people like that. It's it's like we're about to explain with the live service. You can't red tape.
Yeah, it just can't. And of course, as the TTK change happened, a month later, they reversed it. Literally went back to the old TTK. They apologized in a public post. Literally said, "We're sorry, we fucked up. We're not gonna do that ever again." Funny. Later on, premium cards got introduced finally into the game, so your microtransactions, which is fine. Problem is, it caused a lot of anger from players because DICE put already available cosmetics behind the paywall. So the cosmetics that were in the game, they were put behind the paywall that players could actually earn by playing the game. But now they can't, because those cosmetics were put behind a paywall as soon as the microtransactions were introduced. Which is, again, not really great, right?
It's insanity, is what it is.
Yeah, and what makes it worse, there was like a bug that didn't let you get the currency, it's called company coin. You weren't allowed to get it was some sort of bug, you weren't receiving company coin to unlock those cosmetics. So people, as soon as people got like tiny bit of that tiny bit of company coin, people just didn't want to waste that company coin on cosmetics because they don't know how often they're gonna get those that company coin.
There was a lot of fear behind what the release schedule for everything was gonna be. Plus on top of that, the anxiety as to when vehicle customization was going to come along, because there were a lot of people that were constantly screaming that they were going to sink so much into that, and it never came into fruition. They just.
Yeah, the bug apparently got fixed as soon as the microtransactions came out, and those cosmetics were put behind a paywall. I never seen a game where it puts like the content that was already exist in the game is being put behind a paywall just because microtransactions were introduced. You would think, oh, they will introduce a new bunch of cosmetics that you can buy, not lock the old ones behind a paywall. Live service, I guess, for Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
Then let's go quickly. Firestorm got released March 2019, I think. It was okay.
We got the quote unquote. We didn't get any competitive 5v5, even though it's been floating around since BF1 days. Technically BF4 days. I'm gonna put that one there.
Yeah, BF4 days.
Op Underground in 2019, so September, but performance issues as usual. War of the Pacific introduced 2 months later with quite a lot of positive reviews and a lot of angst. I remember getting a hold of the trial around the time when those came out, and I enjoyed those maps immensely. But as soon as the DICE executives or the EA executives decided to push for another TTK change in December, the same premise as 2018, it just, even though they promised never ever in order to do that again, they just did it again, and as their last attempt in order to try and save it. And again, no spoiler alert here, it didn't really work. Just pissed a lot of people off. And even
actually, it was the update that made me uninstall the game. I shit you not.
Now we skip February 2020. DICE refuses to apologize again, and then they started to introduce the old TDK, using the original TDK as a reference for their future update. And they're, evidently that's not being well. Jungle
I
Map
mean,
was introduced, had some, positive feedback, but all in all, the goodwill, it's gone. It's time to kill changes. No one's gonna, want to come back to that. And I'm hesitant in order to play it a little bit as a habitual anyway. And then as of today, the 28th April 2020, DICE announced the next update for Star Wars Battlefront, and it's going to be the last, and including Scarif.
Yeah, just to make sure people which update we're talking about. People were really excited about the Scarif map, so that's the last update they're gonna get for Star Wars Battlefront, which is quite interesting. So, Battlefield 5 being rocky as fuck, right? Not focused on Star Wars Battlefront, but Battlefield 5, like, there's so many things that were promised and not delivered, or changed so much it doesn't even make sense anymore. For example, co-op was advertised as completely different from what it actually is when it got released. Oh, you can do that. You can allow replayability and everything, but of course it wasn't that. It was just scripted missions, and they were the most boring missions ever. Like I said, the comparative 5 mode. I can talk about that for days. About that 5-on-5 mode that got scrapped.
I remember nights upon nights of conversations in Discords and Skype chats about how everyone in the community do a good 5v5 mode, and I swear amongst the lot of us, we had it perfect, and it just never came to fruition.
Basically, the idea was it was Battlefield 1 Incursions, but in a Battlefield 5 skin. Here's the thing: Incursions wasn't bad, but it was mixed. It was probably missing a lot of things that made Battlefield. It felt really weird, out of place, because it wasn't on par, like, not on par, it didn't have the same feeling as the base game. And when you make your game a bit different from your base game, so what's the point, right?
What happened, what it was is you took a full scale, we were trying, the idea of Incursions was essentially trying to take a full scale warfare game like Battlefield, where there is always a lot of crazy stuff going on at one time at any given point on the map, quote unquote, etc., etc. And in a 64 player environment, or 64v64 player environment, and it's supposed to be chaos, you don't necessarily get a lot of chaos out of a 5v5 match. It's slower paced. It essentially turns into Ghost Recon.
I mean, and that's not a bad thing.
And no, not saying that type of gameplay is a bad thing. And it does work in Battlefield for those people who like that niche. But honestly, I think it was a combination of that, like I just said, like taking a huge full-scale experience and condensing it like that, and then it not working on top of it, regardless of the fact that the mode itself needed tweaking, just wasn't enough in order to gain any kind of popularity traction with it. Even though I personally enjoyed it, I got some enjoyment out of it. I felt there was a lot that needed to be done with it, but the masses tend to be the ones that get heard the most, and
I think Incursions was a good foundation for something good, but the problem is, when you delayed 5-on-5 for so many months, even though they never announced it, but they delayed it for so many months, and then there was no point releasing it, right? There was the game was a mess anyway. People were complaining about lack of content. They were complaining about bugs, and then you have to focus on this 5-on-5 mode that is completely different from your base game. Yeah, I kind of get why it got scrapped, because it was kind of pointless. Because when a new game comes out, you kind of should have these kind of stuff like at launch day, not max like a month after the game launched. Like something, you have to have something early there. Otherwise, it's just not gonna get traction, and it's gonna die.
It's kind of one of those things where you've got to objectively stand back and take a look and go, in a sense, what modes are going to be played more, Rush or Incursions, Conquest or Incursions, not Tides of War. whatever the war campaigns that they introduced in
Yeah, co-op basically.
yeah. I mean, no. The ones where they
single players.
No,
Ah.
the actual multiplayers, but it was just like a chain of maps. I can't remember what they were called.
Oh, operations.
Operations, that's it. I loved that. That was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed Operations. Granted, I wish there would have been like a little bit more maps to it and some other things. I mean, that was a thing that needed some fine tuning too. But those are things that probably got asked when it came to incursions, and a lot of the answers to those questions were not incursions.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think it should be on launch day. Well, okay, we'll talk about the next about the future game layers, and we can maybe include a 5-on-5 there. But I just want to quick mention why the Dice LA game that we're producing was using BF1 assets. It's mainly because, from what I was told, because Dice using a lot of third-party software, like company, like plugins, whatever, like, you know, and it's not all in-house made. So they use third-party, and because some of the licensing expired or something like that, they can't go back to the editing files and open those old games. So it's Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, or any older game. I doubt they still have those, maybe somewhere, I don't know. So that's why they probably were using Battlefield 1 assets, because it was like a current game they have access to, and they can edit that and create a new game whatsoever.
Which makes a lot of sense, because I've ran into that problem. You can't open, you know, sometimes you can't open the older folders, the older files in software. It doesn't work that way. A lot of people who are really into stuff like that don't know. I'm into. But you know, I can't load newer models into my older versions of Macs, and it works vice versa. So, you know, there's probably like third-party software that they used in order to build the assets and et cetera, and then brought them into Frostbite, and, you know, now that software is expired and they can't, you know, touch any of the stuff, and it's possible. It sucks.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. That's what I heard. So when
and companies don't want to pay in order to redo the licenses either, because that shit can be like $160 a machine.
Yeah, so shit's expensive, and that's 160. That's probably even the cheapest thing. But yeah, and people won't say, oh, we want Battlefield 3 remaster or Battlefield 4 remaster, whatever. I don't care. Pick any remaster you want. They probably can't make that, just because if the licensing thing is true, they can't open the game and do your remaster. They will have to do everything from scratch. So what's the point doing a remaster if you can make a brand new game that is better, right?
Honestly.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about the remaster later, but that's kind of funny thing about it. If that's true, of course. I just know they can't access the game anymore, so I guess. Of course, people complained Battlefield 5 having women. My females in my video games, how dare they? Here's the thing. I, for example, wanted female soldiers since Battlefield 4 days. Early Battlefield 4 days, if not Battlefield 3 days. I want to play as a badass female soldier. I would love that. But people kind of missing the point when people bitch about females in the World War II game, or like in this in Battlefield 5 game. It's because, they're just misogynist, sexist gamers that don't want female in their games. No, it's a World War II game. You advertise as an authentic World War II game, and people that love history, and a lot of people love history, they want that authentic World War II game. So, and when you come out with, it's a World War II game, really authentic, but but they never really mentioned that it's like a steampunk World War II. I think that's the problem. If they full out, well, like on the live stream, on the reveal itself, it said, this is a World War II game, but with a twist. It's like really steampunk. It's really different. It's not your historical World War II. It's a DICE interpretation of a crazy ass World War II game. Like, it's a Battlefield game, right? It's a perfect premise for a Battlefield game.
Alternate history as if
yes,
but it's again, they from the get-go they kind of did. They did, but they didn't. And that's where the frustration was. Like, they said it was going to be a World War II game, but no one said authentic. but at the same time, people assumed authentic. And
They
this
did mention authentic though. I do remember. I was at the live stream itself. I was literally in the audience, invited to that stupid reveal, and they
That's
were like,
true. And I really wasn't following around a whole development, admittedly so. So a lot of things concerning BFV, I personally really don't know anything about. I like everybody would know, I kind of dropped off the face of the map shortly after BF1 released because BF1 really wasn't my cup of tea, baby. I'm more of a Battlefield 4 player, to be honest with you. But anyway.
it's a perfect premise. Like alternative universe World War II game, a steampunk World War II. That is a perfect recipe for a perfect Battlefield game because you can do Battlefield stuff, and you can be somewhat authentic, right? Like you can it could be like a really interesting premise.
Basically, what they did was they would like, okay, well, we're gonna do this, but we want the ability to do whatever we want with it. But the problem was they really didn't do all of the things that they said they wanted to do with it, and a lot of things that I'm always playing devil's advocate, so nobody like hate on me this, but like maybe a lot of people probably got a lot of expectations out of what could have and should have and would have been quote unquote core content, but even still arguing that point, there's still an understanding of what is quote unquote considered a base content. I would consider tank customization a bit more of a base customizational need than fleshing out freaking, the battle royale mode. That because that could have been more financially, better off for them in the long run. I don't understand why the work that they wanted to put into that was not allowed to be put into that. People pay $5 for freaking pink skins of things. How was that missed? For me to argue, even on the side of EA, and I don't doing it, but I'm doing it anyway. Like, how was that point missed?
Like, here's in a general, like being more generic as possible here. I think the problem is we know the game was rushed, right? From 2017 all the way to the launch date, a year and a half to make a AAA game. Okay, already big red flags. Rush development, not enough time to produce even a good game. Okay, but still, they had some sort of vision, right? A steampunk World War II game. Cool. But somewhere on the line of the production, someone said, no, we need to go stay on the proper
direction and not go into the cosmetics and the things that we're quote unquote leaning into this live service model for in order to do.
Yeah, but historical accuracy, that's the one I hate. People complain about historical accuracy, and that's the problem they had. Like, the marketing for this game was horrendous because they tried to be steampunky, right? But they still try to be a proper World War II game. So you either be a steampunk World War II or you be authentic World War II.
Yeah,
Pick
and
one.
I was
You can't really be in the middle.
And when the first trailer came out, up until the moment when I obviously realized that it was not going to be the same, I legitimately thought, oh crap, this is going to be like a remake of Battlefield 1943 or something of that nature, and then everything else happened in the trailer, and then I went, no, okay, never mind. Well, I guess maybe if there's some cool shit I can do with my characters and stuff and my guns, and maybe I'll buy into that. And oh, cool, tank customization's been announced. I'll drop some coin on some foliage for my tank, and that never happened. So
it never will happen because there's still no foliage on your tanks. It's still no foliage on your tank. But whatever. This is the problem. If they market it from the get-go, listen, it's a World War II steampunk game. It's not like historical accuracy. Fuck historical accuracy. We have women. We have soldiers with metal arms, and you have your, I don't know, something really crazy. Like, it's the most craziest Battlefield you could ever play because it's just alternative universe, right? Who cares about historical accuracy? This is what we make because we want to make a fun game. That's it.
Like, I don't even care if someone would sit and make the comparison that they just tried to make Fortnite Battlefield. Just their own goofy reimagining of things and going there and whatever. If they would have been out in the open about it.
Yes. Not flip-flopping like, oh, it's authentic World War II game where you can do that and that, and then you show the trailer like, what the fuck?
Okay, like, cool, the guns are authentic, the tanks are authentic, the locations are authentic, And I guess that's where the line is drawn. It's like you're a toy box. You get given all of these fun toys, and off you go. Have fun.
Yeah. So if they just went from the get-go, and I have no problem with women in a World War II game. I don't care. If it was, I just don't care. I play as a badass female soldier. I love it. But when people complain about that, people love to think, oh, they're just sexist pigs because they want women in their games. No. Yes, there's some douchebags that complain about that kind of stuff, but those are the minority. 99% of the people that bitch about that kind of stuff are just good people that want a good game. It's just DICE doesn't know, or EA doesn't know, whoever responsible for this fucking game. They just don't know what kind of vision they want for the game. And that's why this Battlefield 5 is so confused and lack of identity, and it just doesn't know what the hell it wants to be. Oh, it wants to be a World War II game, but it doesn't want to be a World War II game.
It just seems like a smorgasbord of semi-good ideas that just weren't executed properly, if at all. And I don't know. I hate saying things like that. I really do. I really hate being like overly critical of people's work, because like,
yeah,
at the end of the day, there are people who busted their ass in order to make that game, and I don't down or any of that shit, because I know a lot of people, they're taking orders from higher up and et cetera, and it's just heartbreaking.
It is. And I see like people say it had a lot of potential. It did had a lot of potential if they stick to their original vision. But of course the reveal was shit, marketing was shit, people thought it was going to be a World War II game, or maybe Steampunk, God knows.
I mean, honestly, maybe we could also just drop our signs and all that shit and just take a step back and go, you know what? It had a lot of potential, and it is a prime standing example of what happens when developers either A, can't all cohesively work together on a project, or B, are not allowed to, or C, they're not allowed in order to actually execute the vision that they had planned for that game. Because I guarantee one of those three things happened to from start to finish. I haven't even, and again, I say it very, very loudly. I did not follow the development of that game at all. And I can say that confidently.
Also, executives or whatever, apparently, going back on the Glassdoor reviews that I mentioned before, people all love to go on Glassdoor reviews. You know, for anyone who doesn't know, Glassdoor reviews are basically, it's a website when you can review your company or other companies. If you work for them, you can review them, how they are, what are pros and cons, and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of negative reviews on DICE LA, or not DICE LA, that's just DICE Sweden page, right? And people say, oh, positives are here, negatives here, but all the negatives in those reviews were the main common theme was that executives or the leadership are so deep in their own vision, they think it's the best vision out there, and everyone has to try to execute that vision, even though there's people saying to them like, no, it's not the correct vision because it's gonna backfire badly. But they just never listened, and maybe that's why we have the TTK change. Maybe that's why we had the TTK 2.0, right? Two times in a year, even though they promised not to do it again. I don't know how true or how correct or how real those reviews are on Glassdoor. People say, oh, it could be bullshit. Yeah, it could be bullshit, but at the same time, why would a troll log into a website just to shit talk a company he never worked on? What for? Just to spike that your favorite franchise shit? That's kind of pointless. It's not achieving anything for the trolls. Even for trolling reasons, there's nothing to achieve there. So that's why I think those reviews are actually real and not fake. Because all of them kind of saying the same thing. So I kind of believe those are real. But yeah, apparently leadership is kind of shit. And I know there was a lot of leadership changes recently at DICE. Maybe they will work for the next game. Maybe something's gonna be bad. I don't know. Maybe there was like multiple visions put together and just you got Battlefield 5. that doesn't know what it wants to be. Maybe that's it. Maybe just too many people with their own visions or wrong visions. I don't know. I never worked for a game development company, so I never worked for a game development company, so I don't know how it works. But
it's a thing that I've looked into because for the longest session that I was trying very hard to get into. I was actually trying very hard in order to even get in ISLA as a 3D model builder at one point in my life, and it never happened. It's game development is very, I don't know. It's not in some cases it is a diplomatic process, because I've had friends that have interacted with studios and etc. etc. That's okay. Well, it's a completely other people say no, it's a complete authoritative process where there's one person and that's exactly, you do as they say. That's all there is to it, or a handful of people. It all just depends. And this, again, like I said earlier, this all cycles into the fact of rushing game development, rushing developers, and rushing ideas. Ooh, excuse me, a little burpee there. And rushing into things without actually having fully, totally, completely planned out. Maybe they'll not do that so much on the next one. I'm hoping that this Battlefield 5, now that they have announced Battlefield 6, or whatever they're going to call it then, I don't know, maybe they'll call it Battlefield 2, whatever. I've said this before too. I'm kind of getting tired of saying it as well. Maybe they'll learn from the mistakes.
Maybe.
Crickets.
Yeah, maybe. And of course, people, the big problem here that a lot of people have to go back to is live service versus premium. Because if it wasn't live service, Battlefield 5 will have a better treatment. And I
say all of these things. Over the years, we say these things about these games because we love this franchise. We always have. This franchise is what brought people together for us in awesome, beautiful, good ways. Even going back to like when Tom and I first met, we fucking love this franchise. We do not say these things, and we don't bring these things to light, and we don't talk about these things because we hate the franchise. And I don't think there really truly is 1 ounce of true hatred towards the franchise from the community. I think really what it is people just don't like what it is now. And that's the thing I really hope, above all hopes, that they learn to not screw up on again.
And regarding live service versus premium, let me explain where premium would not work. Like, it would not fix any problems. First of all, there's only like 1% or 2% of player base of BF1 owned premium. So you'll be making 2%, it doesn't matter how many people were playing BF1, right? 2% out of 100 is still a big ass percentage. It's not even probably 2. It was like
2% of 100 is 2.
Yeah, like 1.6 something percent of player base owned premium for BF1. So imagine like making content on a somewhat dead game
for that handful of small people, and you're still making it so that those people can't play with people who have the regular version and play the vanilla maps all the time. And that in of itself creates a huge problem. And we said this about even in Battlefield 4 days. We'd said it abundantly clear that we were not the biggest fan of premium, that if there was anything, it really should just be almost like a season pass deal where we would pay in and we would continuously get maps over the course of time. And, and that's what's quote unquote called DLC. But the thing about it is premium in of itself, there were servers that were created where all of the DLC maps were going. You can't join those servers if you don't have all of the DLCs. So you're still barring people off. And if not enough people buy that, it kills itself. So there's really no vibe. There's really no like good quote unquote capitalist option to it. You either just make the damn maps free to everybody after the fact and call it a day and charge either people for guns and cosmetics and things of that fact, which is what they tried doing with Battlefield 5, or you continue doing things the way that they were doing. And I'm not saying that the way they tried doing Battlefield 5 was bad, like the base core concept idea of it. yes, release a core game, put maps out over the course of a couple of months, every so many months, in order to keep people interested. Don't fart with the freaking main game, which that was one major failure right there in of itself. And then sell people more guns, sell people cosmetic stuff, sell people tank skins, vehicle skins, things of that nature. So if they would have applied that model, I mean, think about it. If they would have applied that model to Battlefield 4, think about how much money that game could have made. Like, the amount of skins that damn game has.
Yeah, and now think about if it's like was a proper, like the original vision for Battlefield 5, a steampunk World War II. Think about the options you could make. How many you could be creative as hell with.
But I mean, take and put this together in your head real quick. You take you take Battlefield 4 as a base game, okay, and just apply the free-to-play model to it from Battlefield 5, and you have basically what the community has wanted forever: a game a Battlefield game that you buy the base game in, has a good amount of customization options, good amount of maps that come out over the course of time. Everybody could play them. Could you imagine how alive Battlefield 4 would still be today if it would have had that kind of model with RSP and everything still all included? Like, oh my, it'd be great.
I just want to mention one thing because I saw this argument. Oh, if there was premium, that means they're legally supposed to give you content. But here's the thing: who says the premium has to be has this amount of content? Who says it can be?
Who says it has to be content catered specifically to the end user buyer?
Yeah, not to mention, let's say all the maps that got released in 2019, right, for Battlefield 5. I don't know how many maps, maybe 6, 5, I can't remember. So all those maps, right? Who says those maps couldn't be part of premium? That you go, your chapters, like premium has 4 or 5 chapters, right? And each chapter has a map or 2. Who says that is not premium? Who says they can't say this is our premium? The premium will not fix anything with Battlefield 5 because the core itself of Battlefield 5 is rotten from the start, from the get-go, from 2017. As soon as that late production started, that's where all the problems started. No premium will fix it, and live service is just a cop-out.
It was a way in order to just try and throw money back into the project in order to try and keep it going. And I'm not saying that again as somebody who knows what the heck is happening. That's just what it looks like. That's okay. We like this idea. Let's rush it out, get it out the door, punch it out the door. All right, let's try and feed it money so it can feed us money.
It's just simple and easy. Battlefield 5 had no vision, and it doesn't know what it wants to be, and whoever was running the live service probably didn't understand what kind of live service it has to be for this game. Because just because it works for another game, let's say Fortnite or Call of Duty, doesn't mean it's going to work for Battlefield. Even though Call of Duty applied the Fortnite-like system for their game, and it works. It works because they understood what can work for that game. And it's not exactly the same system.
Selling their core game that's tied to it. Like, they have Warzone that's out for free right now, and they are still selling the Modern Warfare core game. It's not to say that it can't be done. You can do that with Battlefield as well. Again, here we go. Make a battle royale mode that's free, gets everybody into the game, where you don't dick with shooting mechanics because you kind of gotta make them similar to the rest of the game. So, there's not that jarring change. And then sell a really good core game. And people tend to buy that.
What's funny about it all is that Activision figured this out for their game, for a fucking Call of Duty game.
Of all things, yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best system. Don't get me wrong. It's
not perfect. It's not.
There's so many ways you can improve it, but they figured it out in some shape or form. At least it's a starting point,
and they can build on it, and they can make it better over the course of time. You can't do that now with Battlefield 5, and I remember us all sitting around at the end of, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th season of BF1 podcast. This is like right around the time when the last community map was being put together. We were all talking about like what the perfect model would be, what the perfect time frame would be, and how everything would. I think we all came together with the idea that one kind of unified engine, you can bounce around a couple of timelines here and there. I think we kind of mentioned about the possibility of having, a 10-10-10 setup where you do the base game is just a modern core setting, and another 10 maps is in like a Vietnam setting or something like that, and then another 10 maps go into like 2143, and you can keep moving around in among, those times.
They sound like seasons in Fortnite, believe it or
Yeah.
not. Oh wow!
And then if the
wow.
game still keeps going, and what you do is you take the data from that and go, okay, well, this is the genre that's real good, and we could just have servers up that just run the 2143 maps, but we keep adding maps to those those basic structures and flesh a game out, and then we sell a lot of cosmetic things with it, and hats and helmets, boots and jackets and fucking tire and track tread patterns and smoke colors and shell explosion effects, what the hell ever. And just have fun with it, and also have the ability that if an end user wants to, you can flip a switch and all of it is turned, and it looks just like your quote unquote historical accurate video game.
Well,
just remember, send me the check.
They should have sent us the check years ago for Battlefield 1 podcast, if you ask me. Anyway, so yeah, Battlefield 5. I think it was the right decision to drop support for Battlefield 5 because I don't think you can't save that game.
It's done for. And
even with
again, I say this, I really don't like trashing people's hard work, but it was.
It's for the best. It's for the best for everyone.
They need to start fresh, and they need to just kind of take a step back. And God willing, I really hope they're not like halfway through the next one already. I would laugh internally and throw my hands up in the air and be like, "Okay, we're done."
But here's the thing. So Battlefield 5 support is dropped. June is gonna be the last update. Just one last update. Coronavirus probably fucked all up with the development and everything. So
there's that possibility as well.
Yeah,
too.
that too.
Let's not just go, well, the game's dying because, there's also that to consider. There's a lot of that shit is touching aspects of just about every aspect of our lives, and it's gonna keep it that way for quite a bit. I just kind of have that feeling, but I'm not going to completely point the finger at it and go, well, coronavirus killed Battlefield 5.
Yeah, that definitely killed the game.
Someone's going to cut that, edit that out, and it's going to get posted all over the fucking internet. And I'm not going to do it. Someone else can do it. But still, that's not what happened. There's a lot of little and big things that just imagine a giant rock that there's on one side, someone's kind of throwing firecrackers and TNT, and then on the other side, someone's kind of strapping higher explosives to it and eventually chipping away at it, and it's done.
Yeah, it was the right decision,
but it's done.
It's kind of angry and sad what kind of disappointment it is, but at the same time, it's the right decision. Just let the game rest at this point. Start fresh. Start everything from scratch. Start a new.
Let's all press F to pay respects and move
pretty
along.
much. And because they not only drop support for Battlefield 5, they also drop support for Star Wars Battlefront 2. So tomorrow's update is gonna be the last.
Now that's a game that I give a lot of salute to. I really do, because when it came out, there was a lot of controversy behind it, and now it's kind of grown and blossomed into not a perfect thing. I mean, it does have its issues. Like Heroes vs. Heroes is still a Anakin Skywalker gangbang, but anyway,
it proves DICE has the ability. They still have the ability to do it right.
And what otherwise is still hilarious, that game follows the model now that I swear up and down Battlefield should have been doing, just without the damned loot crates. You could have sold everybody the skins. You could have sold everybody all the stuff. Nobody would have cared as long as we knew what we were buying. The real main controversy behind Battlefront 2 really wasn't even the gameplay. It was just how it was sold and how everything of it was sold. And then people got a bad taste in it behind its mouth of that. Because at launch, it was a good game. I had fun playing it. I remember playing beta. Had fun playing it. Did not have a problem with that game until freaking loot boxes.
Yeah, and the game gone better as time went on. You got loads of content, loads of map, loads of heroes, and everything. It's a good Star Wars game.
It was good.
But anyway,
added to it. Now, and then the Clone Wars came out, and
but anyway, yeah, that's not the point.
they could add Mandalorian content to that still. They could run that game out as a freaking money factory for Star Wars for a good while. It could become the literal original Battlefront 2. But they're dropping support on that as well. Does that mean they're going to make a third one? If they do,
yeah, so
I would sincerely hope that they use that as a clue, as a good foundation in order to do something along those lines. Like keep the maps free.
I have comments regarding that. Apparently, there was some rumors. I guess there's no Battlefield. There's no Battlefront 3 in production right now. So they're probably like, yeah, we're not making that.
Well, if I recall correctly, I remember quite a few years ago, someone said exactly what year the contract between Disney and EA ends. I
think it's 2024 something?
Somewhere in that ballpark. I don't know. But that's still time in order to crank one more out, or they might just sit on it and not do anything with it for 4 years, or they might
they
just
have
make
other
another.
games in the making. They have other games in the making for Star Wars, so probably they don't really need it anymore. So I kind of get the idea that's no point, making another game because the thing is gonna expire. The whole deal with Disney is gonna expire, and they don't want another Battlefield 5 situation where the game is rushed. Could be that. So
plus they don't want to. They're probably not gonna want to yank something soon. But just keep in mind that when that date comes, that's when Battlefront.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is Battlefield 5 goes all out, all negative, while Star Wars Battlefront 2, even though ending support, still on a positive note, people are still happy. But not the point. The point is that DICE dropped support for both these games, and they're literally focused on the next game, which is Battlefield for the next year. That the whole studio literally focusing on this one game. So you know how shit is fucked inside if the whole studio literally can't work on any other games, if they have to fully focus the whole workforce on this one game for next year. This one game will fix or destroy Battlefield. That's the truth. I don't know what they will not touch any historical games anymore for next game. That's not happening. That's it. They have PTSD from that. It will not have any Vietnam War or Cold War. It's gonna be modern or futuristic. That it's just gonna happen. It's just the reality. I don't think they're that ballsy to go historical anymore. But I just don't know what is gonna be a full reboot.
They have a concept of future and futuristic. They've done it before. They need to just do it again, which is what they should have done with Battlefield 5, and that was go into more of the future in between the rest of the war and all that was going on. Finish that out and go into actual 2140. That's what they should have done.
But it should be done. But here's my comments right now regarding this, that Battlefield name is so tarnished right now thanks to Battlefield 5. I don't think there's dropping support is gonna affect them for the next game. It's just simple fact. People lost trust with DICE. The next game will suffer no matter what. So I just don't think you should be sticking people say, oh, we want a Battlefield remaster. Then we'll see what happens. But if you do a Battlefield remaster for the next game, you're gonna be stuck on that same loop you had before Battlefield 5, and nothing's changed. And when the next game is gonna come out, it's gonna be, I don't know, another Battlefield like Battlefield 5, right? It's so different, and it's gonna go. You're not gonna go forward. You're not pushing the franchise forward. You're just gonna go back to the past and just let it die. Basically, it's gonna die out because you're not introducing anything new. You're stuck still in the same fucking loop. Oh, Battlefield 3 remaster. Yeah, we're back to square one with that. No matter how much I love Battlefield 3.
Yeah, and then that's why I'm saying they need to go from that. There's a huge bridge gap in between Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 2143. Bridge that gap. There's a lot of creative potential there. You don't even have to license guns anymore for that. Just design your own. Have fun with it. Why it wasn't done, I don't understand. Mechs. Fucking mechs. Sell me skins for mechs. Oh man, I will trample motherfuckers to death in a hot pink mech. I'm not kidding, and I will pay you $5 for it. Let me do it, but you won't.
Yeah, my perfect game would be 2044 or 2042, whatever. Like a nice middle between Battlefield 4 and 2142.
Or like 2070, 2060, somewhere in that ballpark. Go like 30, 40 years from now, but not too far forward, not to the point where you're literally in 21. Like, mechs are really slow and sluggish, but just really stupid and powerful. Like, they're kind of like tanks and hover tanks. Oh my god, fix hover tanks, please. I hate hover tanks. I hated hover tanks.
Can we please vehicles from Battlefield 5, because Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 had really horrible vehicles. I haven't enjoyed playing vehicles since BF4.
I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about that one, because the fact that it does matter where they hit you, it doesn't matter how you're pointed at them, your range, the whole 9 yards, drop off. I liked all of that. Like, the added meta to it was great.
Fair enough.
And even having to go back and resupply, I liked that. I really did like that. I dig the game. I dig the vehicle gameplay in Battlefield 5. I played so much more vehicles than I did.
I'm quite the opposite. I kind of hated the Battlefield 5 vehicle gameplay.
But I also mostly did attack chopper and jets and regular tanks in Battlefield 4 too. I had my specific vehicles. So
well, I'm a tank driver in Battlefield games. Like I main tanks.
No,
and I just enjoy.
What?
Yeah, I know, right?
Really?
But I just enjoy Battlefield 5
man,
tank
I had
gameplay.
No idea.
Yeah, I didn't just enjoy it. But I just think the game needs a reboot. Complete reboot.
Does. It needs to kind of like sit down. It's taking a lot of slugs to the chin right now, and it kind of just needs to like stumble back and just relax for a bit.
It just needs needs a fresh start. I don't care. Like, is it gonna be called? It's not gonna be called Battlefield 6. It's gonna be called something else. I don't know if you should go free to play or complete reboot. But most important thing, if the next game doesn't have crossplay and cross save, game over. I'm sorry, game over. If the next game doesn't have crossplay or cross save, I don't know what the fuck they're doing then.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
And that's a whole episode in of itself, because just crossplay in general is ugh.
But if the next game doesn't have that,
you want to hear something stupid? I'm gonna say this.
Go on.
If you want to play Ark, okay, with friends and people who play that game on console, you have to buy it through Microsoft. You can't buy it through Steam and play with them. What the fuck?
That's stupid.
Stupid. That is dumb. Dumb, stupid, dumb, stupid. I bought it. I have a license for it. I know I don't fucking own it, but still. Let me play with my freaking Xbox friends. Assholes.
Yeah, Call of Duty did crossplay. Fortnite did crossplay. Is the future.
And I get
the present.
The whole thing. Like, there's this whole. I saw the whole thing blow up on Modern Warfare about a lot of PC people getting kicked from crossplay because they're hacking and shit like that.
Yeah, but that's lack of anti-cheat.
That's lack of anti-cheat for one, yeah. And two, that's lack of harsh enough punishments on it. Like, you really want to fucking ban somebody? Hardware ban them. And IP ban them at the same time, so that, you're done. You're toast. Or again, like what they're doing, I like the creative solution that they're doing now. If you've been flagged as a cheater too many times, you just get put in servers with other cheaters. And that's
what COD is doing right now.
I am fucking A-okay with that. I applaud that. That is just mastery level right there. Games need to do more of that. Like, if people want to cheat, fine, cheat, hack the game, do your damn well please. But you're going to play with other people who hack and cheat and do whatever they damn well please with the game, and you might not have fun with it, but haha, we got your money anyway. Look at it that way. And it's the easiest solution ever.
And Call of Duty introducing that. They will put cheaters in servers with other cheaters.
I want to fucking play a legitimate survival game with like friends of mine on console. I don't give a damn eating or any of that crap. Cool, I can aim faster than them. Whatever.
Yeah, but I just saying that the next Battlefield needs to have crossplay. Otherwise,
definitely.
I just don't know.
It should have been a thing.
It can't survive. I'm sorry, crossplay.
It should have been ready by now. It could have been the first game that just put the olive branch out there. EA could have just looked so good doing it, and yet it didn't happen. Like a lot of things that coulda, woulda, should. I guess this is a whole episode is coulda, woulda, shoulda, and didn't. I think that's what we should call it. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, but didn't.
Yeah, but as we ending, I just want to, what is your personal favorite idea for the next Battlefield? Will be like somewhere in the middle of 2142, I guess.
I would
somewhere in the
put
middle?
the time frame like I again, as I've said it already in the episode. Like I would put the time frame somewhere in like 2060s, 70s, or 80s. Not too far up, not too far close to the present, where you're capable of having the ability to just make your own guns. You can make your own uniforms. You can hell even go so far as to change the geopolitical state of the world at the time and change nations. You can do what you damn well please with it. Not only from a gameplay standpoint, a creative visual standpoint, and a storytelling standpoint, you can also do it from a capitalist standpoint and sell skins, sell different character types. You know, have a good base selection for crying out loud, and I mean a really good, solid base that's going to get the base core interested in it. So that way, those that either A don't have the money or B don't care enough to spend the money can still unlock things and get things through their gameplay. You could even go so far as to pull that BS. You can still earn the premium currency thing, but don't be so draconious with it. Like, not like some games where it's like, there's a 2% point, a 0.2% chance in order to get premium currency with every $1 that you regular currency. Like, no, like it should really just be a semi-healthy supply. Like, I wouldn't give the player more than maybe like $10 a week, like, or $5. Okay, that's reasonable. Something somebody could save up over the course of a month if they wanted to. Whatever, cool. You can buy a $20 skin. That's really not killing us because we're still selling it for $20 in real life money. Thanks for playing. And then build on it from there. If they want to go back, you could, okay, fine. The game's made a good amount of money and 10 map season with shit that happened in 2045 and we need to license a handful of guns and stuff. Okay, now cool, you can afford that and you still have a skin structure in place in order to sell more skins and stuff for that. It's a game is good when the core is good and solid and can be built upon it for a long time, not a short time. And Battlefield is one of those games that has all of the potential in the world in order to do this, but it never seems to.
Yeah, Battlefield has always been that type of game that was, for some reason, the underdog, even though it should be the king.
And I firmly believe that if they would take and adopt that model, it would not be a roaring success. It would appease enough people to be sustainable. I'm not saying it would be perfect, because there's going to be people who are still going to be upset that, you know, things are sold behind premium currency and et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, you take out the loot boxes, you make everything straightforward, transparent. This is how long this game is going to go on when, you know, we're planning on up to 4 years of support and, you know, 4 different seasons a year. And, you know, we're going to keep doing this. And every time you make a new gun, you can sell new skins for it. And you make a different vehicle, you can sell new skins for that. And you can have those vehicles be capable to be played on all of the rest of the maps. And you don't lock people behind paywalls. And you don't lock people behind things that are too expensive. And you don't lock your communities out from support when they freaking need it.
Yep, and don't be quiet. Communication is important because Battlefield 5 communication has been fucking garbage.
And when the people who buy your game want to know what's going on, tell them. Like, don't be afraid of it. People tend to get more mad when you withhold information than when you actually tell them the damn truth up front.
I think the reason they withheld information in the first place because the game got... they decided to stop supporting Battlefield 5 like months ago, probably. Back in January. It was probably that's when they made the decision and that's why they were like really quiet. Could be it.
It's possible.
Because usually that's what happens. That's usually happens. Like December, January, that's where like old dies and the new rise up. So maybe like the decisions, I mean. So could be that. Could be literally...
Anything is possible in this world, though some more than others and not. And I don't want to sound like conspiracy theorists on it all either. I mean, there could be a bunch of things that we don't know either, decisions and shit. But I don't know. Through the years, I feel like we've kind of called it coming to this. I feel like
in a sense, yeah. In a sense, we did.
And I don't want credit for it. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want credit as that one guy who watched his beloved franchise just kind of slowly take a nosedive and has called 90% of the shit that's happened. And I mean, they've tried to innovate. They've tried to do things that we suggested years ago. I mean, this whole free-to-play model we suggested right around the end of Battlefield 4. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we all came up with that 2140, that 2170, 80, 90 idea, like right around the end of Battlefield 4, because we were like, okay, well, the next one's gonna be Battlefield 6 or Battlefield 5, and they're gonna go forward because of Final Stand. Like, Final Stand, we thought was gonna be the point to the future. Because when they came out with that, it was like, wow, they're coming up with new original vehicles, and look at all these set pieces. So they got mech meshes already built and all that shit.
Also, back then, Dice Lay was producing the game, and even though we didn't knew that,
yes,
we kind of suspected. We suspected they were making a game. It's like a
there was so much pointing to that happening, and then when it finally, like, when they finally did it, it just wasn't what we expected it to be. Because if Battlefield 5 would have been a futuristic game instead of World War II, if it would have been what we thought it was going to be when we originally thought of Battlefield 5, way back before Battlefield 1, I mean, I don't think there'd be so much angst towards it. I think we'd still be talking about how much longer that game's going to go, because the model behind it is solid. The way that, granted, Battlefield 5's financial model isn't perfect, but it kind of works. You could fine tune that with a game that does work and knows what it wants to be.
Yeah.
And you've fulfilled your promises. If they would have, okay, Battlefield 5, just change the setting, I'd buy it. I'd buy it now.
And I just wonder what will be the scrap Dice LA game would look like. What kind of problems they were encountering that they couldn't even finish the game and they had to be scrapped. I am really curious what's that all about. I just know the setting of it. Like, it was something more than futuristic or apocalyptic. I just remember that I was described as skyscrapers being destroyed. Okay, cool, but that doesn't tell me anything. I am just curious what it would be like. What kind of game would it be like? Or why Dice Sweden didn't continue the work? Why they didn't help the game? I don't know. So many questions, and I don't know how to get answers. Maybe one day developers will come to us and secretly tell us what happened. I don't know. Or maybe there will be an article on Kotaku. Or I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, before we go, I guess we've been talking for an hour and 50 minutes. Before we go, do you want the single play in the next Battlefield game?
Yeah.
Okay, free to play or not free to play?
No, base buy-in, free to play maps after the fact.
Fair enough. And also, I just want to say before, I don't care if premium is coming back next, but it's not coming back. Premium is not coming back for the next game. That's a given.
It's gone. It's never coming back. Everyone just get used to that fact.
Yes, but if it does, you don't have to lock maps behind premium. It could be something else. Like season passes, like your battle passes for Fortnite or Call of Duty, blah blah. The map is like locking content behind a paywall that not everyone can play. That's what bothers me most. It's like that. Remember, Gian? We had to look for vanilla servers only. We couldn't play the DLC servers because he didn't have the DLC.
Yep.
And I hated that. So I just want the maps and guns to be available for everyone and pay for something else. Cosmetics, something, I don't know, something that is not affecting in the game in whatsoever. Like, that is something fair and not exploitative. So I can only hope, and I just hope they learned their lessons with Battlefield 5, and all studio is literally working on this next game. So that means every fucking developer that worked on any of these two games, Star Wars Battlefront or Battlefield or whatever, is now working on this next Battlefield. So we can only hope that it's going to be good. Lessons learned. Finally, after many years, lessons learned.
And
because
we can all move forward.
And we can all be fucking happy that Battlefield is back and great and everything. We can only hope. So
I think we've looped around enough on that one.
I wonder how people will react to this as they really listen
you
to this.
You said the same thing 7 times. What the hell, guys?
Well, I don't know.
No, we know. We're passionate.
We don't have a script.
We're passionate.
Yeah, we are passionate, though.
Freaking passionate. But on
People
that,
do confuse sometimes passion with rage, which is quite funny.
true. But like I said, we say everything that we say, critical, anything like that, with love. We don't ever want to jeopardize the trust of the friends that we've made over the years playing this game and interacting with people who've worked on it. We've had a lot of great things come from that, and I don't ever want to think anybody that we've interacted with thinks that we are taking that for granted by kind of saying some of the things that we've heard over the course of the years. I don't want anybody that's ever been good friends of ours in development, or any developers out there that might be listening to this, to think that we just go around bashing stuff. We don't. We love these games. We love the games that we play, and we're critical of them in some areas because we're passionate of them, because we see potential in them, and we can see that there's still a lot of love put behind things, even at the end of the day, even in all the details and all of the major shit and all of the good things and the bad things. We can tell there's all love put into it by each and every individual who works on it. And I do want to, again, clarify that we're not trying to, bend over and take a dump on people's work.
That's the last thing we ever want to do.
We fucking love developers. They have been probably some of the most awesome people we have ever had the pleasure of meeting in our lives. They have been responsible for us being able to travel to places and see things and be able to see how things work behind the scenes that otherwise we never would have ever been able to know. And we are always and forever grateful for that. And we are always grateful for those friendships. And I wanted to make sure that got out there before anybody thinks that we're trying to shit on them. Because we love you guys. I'd fucking hug all of yous. But we're under social distancing right now, so we can't do that. So elbow bump, everybody.
Bump your microphones or monitors, whatever.
Funk. Oh!
Slap that PC. Slap that booty.
But I mean, I'm for real. I mean, we love games, and that's why we do these productions. We do these things. I mean, hell, video games is why we do some of the things that we do to this day, and we take a lot of love and a lot of passion from that. So they mean a lot to us. So when they're not right, we get passionate about it. All right. So on that note, I do think it's time that we bring this to a close before we start sounding like two old Southern gentlemen sitting on a front porch reminiscing of the good old days when Battlefield back in it ruined Battlefield. Oh man, I miss Battlefield friends. Can we bring Battlefield 4 back for that? I miss those guys.
Yeah, they. Okay, I'm not gonna.
Okay, do you
because I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk for another 5 minutes. I'm not gonna do that.
Do you remember when fucking we just got out of recording for Battlefield 1? And Neebs and them saw that one lady get fucking robbed of her purse, and they chased that motherfucker down and just they didn't beat his ass or anything like that, but they just all 5 of these YouTubers just go and restrain this dude, and we're all standing there watching this all unfold and wow, glad we didn't go over there for sandwiches.
Yeah.
Because I remember that was my thought.
I remember that. It's funny. I remember meeting them in person. We didn't talk much, but that was back in. Was it Battlefield 5? Battlefield 5. I think it was Battlefield 5. No, it was BF1. BF1, sorry. It was BF1.
God, there were a lot of people who were just who the hell are these guys? But that's a whole nother episode of itself. We can reminisce on that. I do think it is time for us in order to depart on this one.
On that note, thank you everyone who have been listening to today's episode. Really long episode. And hopefully we'll see you guys on the next one. And whether you've been listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, or Podbean, yes, we do have those. Believe it or not, leave a like, subscribe, follow on our personal social media accounts, leave your comments, be involved in the conversation, let us know what you think, maybe tell us something we don't know, educate us, insult us, I guess, I don't know. Whatever it's on your mind, speak up, we love to hear what everyone else think, and yeah, thank you for listening and thank you for sticking with our conversations. So, thank you again from my heart, literally. Not even joking. And thank you, Ray, for joining this nice day. It took a while to record this podcast.
Yeah, it did. We had a couple of hiccups on the way, but there'll be a blooper reel for that. That'll be great.
Yeah. Cringy intros as usual. Anyway.
Of course.
Yeah, as usual. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Your hands upon a dead man's gun and your